everyone's joining in. Today I'm going to be talking about the sequels that I need to read. So I have so many sequels on my TBR. I even have a long list of 20 plus sequels that are on my TBR that I don't own yet, and I am surrounded by like 3 different piles of sequels that I have on my TBR. Some of them have been sitting on my shelves for a very long time and I haven't gotten to them yet. Or the ones that I'm just like putting them as top priority but I still haven't gotten to them yet. So yeah, I have so many sequels on my TBR, it's just driving me nuts. But enough talking, let's get to the sequels that I need to read. So the first sequel that I have on my TBR is that Hideous Strength by C.S. Lewis. This is his sci-fi book series. It's a trilogy. This is the 3rd book and I haven't gotten to them yet. I've read the first 2 books and I really enjoyed them, and I don't know why these books are like, the first 2 books are like really short, like under 250 pages, but this one is like over 300 and I'm like, what the heck? So that's why I haven't picked it up, but I do still want to read it. So this has been sitting on my shelves for years, like since I've been in college, and since now I've been out of college for 2 years, I still haven't picked this up yet. So I might want to reread the first 2 books before getting to this one, so I know what's going on. I don't know, but yeah, this is one of the sequels that's been sitting on my shelves for years. The next book the next sequel that I have on that I need to read is The Last Blue Envelope by Maureen Johnson. This is the 2nd book of 13 Little Blue Envelopes duology. This is the last book, and it's about a girl whose aunt has just died, but she has letters from her aunt, and her aunt has set up a trip for her throughout Europe and all that. I haven't read the 13 Little Blue Envelopes in years, and I've started this, but I DNF'd it just because I wasn't in the mood for it, and I still want to read it because I want to know what happens, because the first book has left it on a kind of a cliffhanger, so I'm like, I really want to get to it, and this is another one that's been sitting on my shelves for years, but I still want to know what happens. And the next sequel that's been on my TBR is Sinner by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a kind of a 4th book in the Wolves of Murphy Falls series. This is in the first books. The 3 books are Shiver, Linger, and then Forever. This is the 4th book that follows different characters. It doesn't follow Sam and Grace, and this also has been sitting on my shelves for a long time, and I think I want to reread the first 3 books before getting to this one, because it follows different characters, but I still want to know like what happens. So that's why it's been my shelves for a long time, and I really love the cover, and again, I still haven't picked this up yet, but I hope I will pick this up soon just because I want to know what happens. And it's just been on my shelves and for a long time, and I just still haven't gotten to it. The next sequel that's on my TBR is Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jake Kristoff. This is the 2nd book in the Illuminate Files series, and I still want to continue on reading it, but I've just been intimidated by how big it is, and I know the 3rd book of the trilogy has been out, and I know this is also big as well. I've listened to the 1st book on audiobook, and I liked it, but many people say you should follow along with the audiobook, but just for me, I just haven't had the time to do that, and I just haven't picked this up yet, and I really want to pick this up because I really enjoy this story, and I've heard they follow different characters as well, which will be interesting to me as a reader, and I kind of want to know which characters they follow in this one, and not the main characters from the first one, but yeah. So the next sequel that's been on my TBR that I need to read is Steel Tide by Natalie C. Parker. This is the 2nd book in the Seafire trilogy, and the 3rd book just came out this year, and it follows female pirates, and they were at war at the male pirates, and then they have to work together for some reason, and I honestly did not like not the first character, the main character of it, but I love the minor characters more, so I wanted to continue on with series because I like the minor characters, but I just don't like the main character, but I still want to know what happens to the characters of the story, and since the 3rd book came out, it kind of it intimidates me that I still haven't picked this up. Plus, they did a cover change, and I'm like, what's up with the cover change? So this series have covers that don't match it, which upsets me, but I still want to know what happens to the characters, and plus I do love stories about pirates. So the next sequels that I have on my TBR is Season Storm and Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second and third book of the Grisha trilogy, even though the spin-off series are set in the same universe, but I've read Shadow and Bone earlier this year, and I really enjoyed it, and I know the sequel, not the sequel, oh my gosh, the TV show is coming out this year, and I'm really interested in it, especially when I know only one actor that's in it, Ben Barnes from the Chronicles of Narnia movies, and I'm like, at least I know someone who was in it, and he plays the Darkling, but I'm honestly curious about the rest, what's happening in the rest of the books, and I really liked the first book, and I hope I get to the others, because I want to read the whole trilogy before I watch the TV show, so, yeah, and I just hope I get to them the rest of the year, so I know that I've read the Grisha trilogy. The next sequel that's been on my TBR is Disney at Dawn by Ridley Pearson. This is the second book in the Kingdom Keepers series, and it follows a group of kids who sign up to be the guardians of Disney parks. Actually, that's how I describe it. It takes place in Disney World, and I've honestly also have started this and I DNF'd it because I was in a mood for it, and I'm like, how am I not in a mood for it? A book that takes place in Disney World, so that kind of upsets me a bit that I still haven't picked this up, and I really hope I pick this up because I want to get the rest of the books in the series, even though they have a third or fourth cover change, and I really liked this one because they're riding on Mount Everest, Expedition Everest, and the Yeti is in the face of the cover, and I'm just like, why? Why would the cover change? So I just hope I pick this up because I really want to know what happens, because I really did enjoy Disney at Dark, which is the first book, and I just really want to know what happens to the characters, like Wayne and Finn, and I'm still mad at myself for not picking this up, and I just really want to pick this up, and I really want to pick this up so I can get the rest of the books with this cover that I currently have. So the next sequel that's on my TBR is Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. This is the second book of Shadow of the Fox trilogy, I think that's what it's called. But it follows a girl who is half human and half demon, and then she teams up with a samurai to get this magic scroll. I'm trying to remember from reading the first book, because I haven't read the first book in like maybe 2 years or a year or two, but I really enjoyed it when I first read it, even though it was a bit slow, but I still really enjoy it, and I know the third book just came out last year, and I wanted to pick this up before I get the third one, but it's like, it was, for me, it was a slow, it took me a while to read it, but I still really enjoyed the world, and I really liked the characters, and it really reminds me of one of my favorite anime shows, so I definitely want to pick this up. I just don't know when, and since the book is so tall, I'm just afraid that it'll take me longer to pick this up, and tall books usually intimidate me because of how long it takes me to read it, and it depending on the size of the font. Okay, this size of the font is actually decent, but it's always tiny me as for some reason, but I just hope I pick this up soon because I really enjoy the first book, and I really want to continue on with the series, especially with the third book that just came out last year. I apologize if I keep using the same excuse for all these sequels, but it's just I haven't picked them up for those reasons and repeat myself throughout this video. But the next sequel that's been on my TBR is The Case for Jamie by Brittany Cavallaro, which is the third book in the Charlotte Holmes series, and I love this series so much, and I've listened to this on audiobook. I just haven't listened to the third book on audiobook, and I know the fourth one came out last year, I think. Yeah, I think last year, and it was the last book of the series, and I'm excited to continue on with the series, but it's just I just haven't picked this up because I had other books that were top priority, and I just don't know why I keep pulling off on the sequels that have been on my TBR, especially on when I have like mystery books. I don't tend to grab this one for some reason, and I don't know, maybe I'm afraid that I'm not enjoying the audiobooks anymore. I don't know. It's like I honestly love listening to the audiobook of this series. Maybe it's because the last book I gave it 4 stars and not like the first book 5 stars, but I'm just maybe scared picking up the series because I'm afraid I'm going to get disappointed. But I do love Charlotte, and I love Jamie, and I love the other characters in the series. I just don't know why I haven't picked this up. I did really enjoy the audiobook. Maybe I don't know. I'm coming up with excuses at this point. The next sequel that's been on my TBR that I need to read is The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is the second book in the Crow Prince, I'm trying to remember what the series is called. The Folk of the Air series, I don't know, but this basically tells a story about a girl who's been raised by fairies after her parents has been killed, and the fairies and the humans live in the same world. I'm trying to remember from reading it because I really liked The Cruel Prince, but I found the world very confusing just because it's like, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be urban fantasy or like high fantasy. I was confused, but I did really like the characters, but I don't know why. I think I've been intimidated by the world because I really enjoyed it's like, I wanted to be character driven. I don't know. I really like the first book. I just maybe afraid to pick this up because I was confused about the world. I don't know, but I've just been wanting to pick this up. I haven't yet. So the next sequel that's been on my TBR is Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Mascalco, which is the third book in Stalking Jack the Ripper series. If you don't know about the series, Stalking Jack the Ripper tells a story about a girl who studies dead bodies, disguises herself as a boy and being taught by her uncle, and then there is a dead body that has been found, and the serial killer was on the loose, and that's all I want to tell you guys. That's all I can describe Stalking Jack the Ripper, but I love the series so much because it's a murder mystery, historical fiction that has murder mystery twist to it, which I love about the series, and I know that the last book of a series came out 2 years ago, and I was like a latecomer with this series, but I just wanted to pick up the third book. I'm just afraid, like I said about tall books, they intimidate me a lot, but I love this series so much. I shouldn't let it bug me and pick this up. I just haven't picked up Escaping from Houdini because I don't know why. I love the characters and I really want to know what happens next, and maybe it's because of how many books there are in this series. I don't know. I'm just like I said, I apologize if I repeat myself in this video, but like I said, I love the characters. I want to know what happens next. I just haven't picked this up. I'm intimidated by a lot of sequels on my TBR just because it's like I haven't picked them up yet, and I just don't know why. The next sequel that's been on my TBR is Blood and Honey by Shelby Mulhern, which is the second book in Serpent and Dove series. The third book is coming out later this year, and if you don't know Serpent and Dove is about a witch that marries a witch hunter through an arranged marriage, but he doesn't know that she's a witch, and that's all I'm gonna say about that, just because I don't want to say too much about it, because that's, like, I think one sentence summary would be better for me. I don't know. And this sequel just came out last year, and I just haven't picked it up, even though I was anticipating it. I just haven't picked it up yet. I think it's because of how long the book is. I think it's over 500 pages, like I was afraid. And the third book is coming out later this year, and I'm like, I really want to put this on top priority because of the third book is coming out later this year, but I just haven't, and I love the characters, and I love the first books. And maybe I'm afraid of sequels disappointing me. I don't know. I just haven't picked this up. I just don't know what I would say other than I just haven't been in the mood for a lot of sequels, but I'm still mad myself for that. So the next sequel that's been on my TBR is The Silvered Serpent by Rashani Kachki. This is a sequel to the Gilded Wolf series, and this is about a group of people on a hunt on a magic object, and they're trying to find it before the other group of people get it first. And I really like the first book, and I think it's because of the delay of this release that intimidates me, but I don't know. But I've been looking forward to this, and I don't know what's gonna happen with the sequel, and I don't know. I love the characters. I think I found the book a little slow, or it has too many characters' perspectives. I don't know. I still really enjoyed the book. I might have to reread the first book to remember what happened. And I love the characters. I just think there was too many characters' perspectives with this book. But I still want to read this. Don't get me wrong. And I just want to know what happens next. The next sequel that's been on my TBR is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Cameron. This is the second book in a Curse Breaker series, and the first book is a Curse So Dark and Lonely. If you haven't read the first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling where a girl with I forgot what disability, Albert palsy. Sorry that I butchered the name. And she's from Washington D.C. and then she was brought to the fantasy world, and she was the only the last chance for the prince to stop being a beast. And there's a cycle going on, and it's like if the prince fails, he has to try again in the next season. But this is his last season, and this is his only chance. That's all I want to say about it. And I've heard with this one you get Gray's perspective, which I do like Gray. And then the third book just came out this year, and I still haven't picked this up yet. And I just really love this edition because of the characters are at the end pages, and I'm just like, this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and I'm just like, why haven't I picked this up yet? It was my most anticipated release of last year, and I didn't pick it up immediately. I'm just, like I said about Tall Blocks, they intimidate me. But I love the first book so much. I should have continued on, but I still haven't yet, and I'm still mad at myself for not continuing the series. And I think it's the last book too, yeah. So, yeah. The next sequel that's been on my TBR is Diamond and Dawn by Lyra Celine. This is a second and final book of Amber and Dusk duology, and this is about a girl who has a power of illusions, and then she goes to this kingdom to see if she wants to be part of the royal family. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember from reading the first book. I haven't read the first book in 3 years or 2 years, and that's all I remember about it. And I still haven't picked up the sequel, and this is why I'm intimidated by a lot of sequels, because I have a big pile of sequels and I still haven't gotten to them yet. So I still want to see what happens next with the character, especially when the last book, the ending of the end of the book really like wowed me. So yeah, I still want to read this hopefully soon. I don't know yet. I say this a lot about the sequels on my TBR, but I still want to pick them up. The next sequel that's been on my TBR that I need to read is A Gathering of Shadows by V. Schwab. This is a second book in a Darker Shade of Magic series, and the first book follows a world where there's multiple versions of Londons. There's Grey London, White London, Black London, and Red London, I think. But I really enjoyed the first book, but I've listened to it on audiobook, and I didn't like the audiobook, so I might reread the first book and then go right into this. But I know that in this one, there's a lot that happened in the first book that I'm like, what the heck just happened? So I'm like, I gotta reread the first book and then go on to this one, just because like the world is so interesting, and I really enjoy V. Schwab's book. I mean, I've read City of Ghosts last year, and I really enjoyed it, and I know that I'm wanting to try more of her books because I've heard nothing but good things about them. And yeah, I'm definitely really curious about the sequel, especially when this since it's a trilogy, and I definitely want to see if I want to continue one other than reading the second book, but I do want to try these Schwab's books because, like I said, I've heard nothing but good things about them. And the last sequel that is on my TBR that I need to read is Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. This is a third book in Once Upon a Con series, but there are companion novels, so you don't have to read the Gigarelle or The Princess and the Fangirl before you get to this one, and that's all I know about it. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I'm so mad that I haven't picked this up yet because I love Beauty and the Beast. It's my favorite fairy tale of all time, and Ashley Poston is becoming one of my favorite authors because I love her books so far, and I'm just sad that I haven't picked this up yet. So I'm like mad at myself for not picking this up, and it's one of my anticipated release of last year, so I'm mad at myself for not picking this up. And the cover, I love the cover, and I still haven't picked this up yet. I'm so mad at myself, especially when she's one of my favorite authors. Hi, feature me here. I forgot about the other sequel that I've had on my TBR that is brand new, and I just haven't picked it up yet, which is All the Tides of Fate by Adeline Grace. It's another sequel that's been on my TBR for a while. I just haven't picked it up yet, and I just forgot to mention this in this video until now, so there you go. The last one of the sequels on my TBR. So that's all of the sequels that I need to read. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and comment down below if you have any sequels that you need to read. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so we notify whenever I post new videos. Also, you can follow me on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, which all links will be down below for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!